The golf world's been getting very interesting lately, with stars Patrick Reed and Rory McIlroy engaged in some pretty spicy beef that has fans on the edge of their seats, and things have only gotten worse. So here's why Patrick Reed is suing Rory McIlroy. But how did this beef start? And how has it escalated to a lawsuit? Well, the feud started at the Hero Dubai Desert Classic, an event that was overshadowed by the pair's frequent arguments and quarrels. Since then, the event's been dubbed T-Gate. So what happened? Well, things actually started heating up the night before the tournament. The two stars were practicing their game on the green, and McIlroy completely ignored Reed throughout the evening, prompting Reed to throw a tee at him. Footage was released surrounding this event, showing Reed throwing a golf tee at his rival out of pure anger and frustration. To be honest though, I found the clip to be pretty hilarious. Reed responded to this situation saying, "If you're going to act like an immature little child, then you might as well be treated like one." Damn, Patrick. Way to add fuel to the fire. Anyway, after this awkward encounter and exchange, things were icy come tournament time. And what happened next would only make things worse. McIlroy proceeded to just beat his rival, keeping him ahead of Reed in the World Tour rankings. The two were dead even throughout the tournament, but Reed faltered on the 16th hole, conceding his only bogey of the round. And knowing that it was his only opportunity, McIlroy jumped on his opponent's failure and scored himself a beautiful birdie. He later admitted that this was one of his toughest rounds ever, due to the intense mental battle between the two. In the post-match interview, McIlroy said, "I think mentally today was probably one of the toughest rounds I've ever had to play, because it would be really easy to let your emotions get in the way." Now, if you're looking from the outside in, you might just think that this is nothing more than a friendly beef. Sure, the two might not like each other, but what's the need for the lawsuit? Well, Patrick is actually involved in a big legal battle right now against the entire PGA Tour regarding antitrust trade regulation. And it seems that McIlroy's been dragged into his battle. Rory was asked to testify for Patrick and was subpoenaed on Christmas Eve of last year. Reed was, at the time, suing the PGA Tour for a different reason, arguing that Florida residents who purchased tickets to PGA Tour events were damaged by the PGA Tour and weakening the fields by suspending players who joined the LIV Golf. So what's the lawsuit all about in the first place? Well, during a contest in 2018, Reed was on top of the competition. However, during the 17th hole, one of his opening shots became nestled in a palm tree. As such, rule officials and Reed himself attempted to find the ball, with the threat that should they be unable to find the ball, Reed would have to go back to the tee. Well, miraculously, Reed was suddenly able to find the ball, which allowed him to carry on playing, with the star eventually going on to score a bogey. However, footage later revealed that the ball found was not the correct one. Despite Reed saying that he was 100% certain that the ball was the correct one. Well, the media had it out for Reed after this event, and he subsequently filed a defamation lawsuit against the Golf Channel, with claims that the defamatory comments had been made on the PGA Tour's behalf. Following the events that happened in Saudi Arabia, the lawsuit was dismissed by a federal judge in Florida in November. But Reed's lawyer, Larry Klayman, filed a new complaint against the Golf Channel in December. And now, Rory's been dragged into this legal mess. Again, details on exactly why Rory's being sued are pretty shady, and the players are keeping their cards very close to their chest. But we've got a good guess that it's got something to do with defamation, or something similar. In his defense, Rory has kept cool, calm, and collected throughout the whole fiasco. And more importantly, he's managed to keep the media on his side, making Reed look like the bad guy, and himself the hero. For instance, in reaction to the tee-throwing incident, Rory had this to say, "I didn't see it. I was down by my bag and he came up to me. And I was busy working and sort of doing my practice. And I didn't feel the need to acknowledge him."
I didn't see it. I was down by my bag and he came up to me and I was busy working and sort of doing my practice, and I didn't feel the need to acknowledge him. So I didn't see a tee come in my direction at all, but apparently that's what happened.
Right.
And if roles were reversed and I had to throw that tee at him, I'd be expecting a lawsuit. So
He also accused Patrick of not living in reality, suggesting that the whole incident before the Dubai tournament never should have happened.
Like, you can't pretend like nothing's happening, right? I think that's the thing. It's like, why? That's, we're living in reality here. He's not. So.
And putting all the blame on his rival. He definitely made Reed look like the bad guy when he was subpoenaed by Reed's lawyer at Christmas. In response to the incident, here's what Rory had to say. So of course, trying to have a nice time with my family and someone shows up on your doorstep and delivers that, you're not going to take that well. I'm living in reality. I don't know where he's living. If I were in his shoes, I wouldn't expect a hello or a handshake. So it's pretty safe to say that Reed has not come out of this whole situation very well, and looks like a player who always has a reason to file a lawsuit. Someone who doesn't care about anyone else, or even the sport. I mean, golf pundit Andrew Coulthard even stated that Patrick seems to be throwing out lawsuits to just about anybody and everybody in the golfing world, and that it hasn't come across with an awful lot of joy. I mean, Andrew really said what everyone's been thinking about Reed all along. Whereas Rory looks like a calm and humble player who's able to take criticism well and, focus on the game rather than get involved in a suing match. A few recent interviews have brought a little bit of clarity on the whole situation, because the sheer amount of lawsuits that Patrick is dishing out is pretty confusing. Well, in an interview, Reed defended his actions at Dubai, saying that it was funny how a small flick of a golf tee turned into a huge deal of him stabbing Rory, and that people are really overstating what happened. And even Rory himself said that it was nothing, and he can't believe that people have turned this into a huge story. But that's what people and the media do. They sensationalize. Kinda weird to see Rory defending his rival, right? Well, it turns out it's not the first time Rory has defended Reed. For instance, back in 2016, Reed was involved in a big controversy surrounding a bunker shot. Rory rushed to Reed's defense, saying, "It's almost like a lot of people within the game. It's almost like a hobby to sort of kick him when he's down, and that people should have given him the benefit of the doubt. So it's pretty upsetting to see the two engaged in a rivalry, because it looks like they used to have a lot of respect in the past." Now, because of Reed's actions against the PGA, he's been suspended from the championship. So, unfortunately, we're not going to see any further matches between the two rivals. Hopefully, this will allow Reed to cool off and get his legal proceedings in order. But it is a massive shame that we won't be able to see these two battle it out on the green for some time. Ultimately, things right now are pretty confusing. I mean, Reed is throwing a lawsuit at everyone for everything. In any case, that's why Patrick Reed is suing Rory McIlroy.